Let's go ahead and tap in. Super Bowl LVIII. 58 if you can't do the math. The Kansas City Chiefs take down the San Francisco 49ers. Patrick Mahomes, his third Super Bowl. What does that mean? Besides he's Jordan, what does that mean? And let's go ahead and tap right in. So we're here tonight to listen to all the prophecy. The prophecy of what Patrick Mahomes was supposed to be. The prophecy of what the Kansas City Chiefs under Andy Reid are supposed to be. I have been told last night was a transcendent moment. I have been told last night was a signature moment. And the only thing I have to say to that is, you just watch Jordan be Jordan. I did not see anything in particular that was transcendent signature for one Patrick Mahomes last night. What I saw was Jordan do Jordan things. And we're going to get spoiled of it. That's the gift and the curse of being the Jordan of your sport. Jordan won 3, took a sabbatical, but leading up to that third one, people were starting to get tired of the Jordan Bulls and them winning all the time. It became a little bit too automatic for folks. Then it goes on, his father gets murdered. He goes away. He comes back, and it was refreshed. There was enough of a gap of Jordan being away and the Bulls being away for folks to be then reinvigorated for when Jordan pulled back up with the 4-5 and then eventually back to the 2-3 and ran off 3 more. Are we going to get there with Patrick Mahomes? You are watching the Michael Jordan of the NFL. If you didn't believe prior to last night, there's no way waking up this morning that you do not feel that Patrick Mahomes is the Michael Jordan of the NFL. And it's almost getting to the point where it's such an easy thing to see, is that teams are now talking themselves out of how to defend Michael Jordan. The Pistons came up with the Jordan rules to stop Michael Jordan. Teams are going to have to draft a scheme to stop Patrick Mahomes. They thought they were doing something when he had Tyreek Hill and it just kept dropping 2 deep safeties. They thought that could thwart the deep ball. And instead, you got Kelsey to death. The only way you can break down and stop Mahomes is him having a porous offensive line. That cost him the 1 Super Bowl against Brady. And that is the one thing that you can use if you want to do the leverage play of what Mahomes versus Brady, who has the edge, who is better than who is the more goater of the two. You can use the whole thing. Well, Brady beat Mahomes head to head. Should that matter? Now, in most other debates, it would. But in this case, when you're looking at what Mahomes had, he had a porous offensive line. So much so that they had to get rid of Tyreek Hill just to fortify it. Okay? Just to fill in the gaps of what was there, they had to get rid of those guys on the offensive line. So when you're looking at that head-to-head comparison between Mahomes and Brady, that 1v1 matchup, it does count, right? But in the larger scheme, if we're going to do that, then we also need to put Tom Brady's rings into proper context. Those first couple of rings, he was the Brock Purdy before Brock Purdy. Tom Brady was Brock Purdy before Brock Purdy, those first couple of Super Bowls in New England. So if we're going to count the totality of his rings, then, I need to go back and say, well, look, if we're going to do that, then let's put everything in proper context. Let's go ahead and talk about how Brady was not really that dude. He wasn't the GOAT of GOATs. Those first 2, maybe even 3 Super Bowl victories. Now, the last 4, he was him. And if you remember, those last 4, that was after the peak of his career. The peak of his career was when he lost the Super Bowls to the Giants. That was the peak of Brady. You're now looking at Mahomes, who's not even in his peak yet, and he's already got 3. And you could parse and say he maybe could have had 5 if things break a certain way. Penalties worked against him one year, and a horrific offensive line worked against him the next year. But we could really play this whole thing out and say it's almost a Jordan and LeBron thing when it comes to Patrick Mahomes, because for as much as Jordan, it took him some years, right? It took him some years to have a team good enough, or for him to have everything else around him good enough to get through the Detroit Pistons, to get to the NBA Finals, right? And then to get that championship. And once he got one, it was a cakewalk after that to run off 5 more. With Mahomes, it's just put him in there. Just put him in there. Remember, he sat the first year behind Alex Smith. So you're talking, he sat for a year and came in his first season, he threw up like 50 TDs. This is what we're talking about with Patrick Mahomes. So as much as I was very early on the whole thing, like, oh my God, this is Jordan. There's also a little bit of LeBron mixed in, where it was like the chosen one, where he can drag a team like those Cavs teams that went and got destroyed by the Spurs early on. But just the fact that he was so good, he could drag that mid roster to an NBA Finals. Look what Patrick Mahomes just won back-to-back Super Bowls with. From a Juju Smith-Schuster to a Valdez-Scantling. Clyde Edwards-Helaire to a Pacheco. Rotating linemen. Like, this is a different thing. Like, this is the cyborg of Jordan and LeBron combining and making an NFL QB. And the reason why I'm using basketball analogies is because I can't draw an NFL parallel. I just can't. If you can, feel free to let me know. Is there an NFL comp to the success and the skill level of someone coming into this sport at that position so early and having this type of success with the type of rosters that he's been given? I would love for someone to try to let me know, like, how this is more of an NFL parallel rather than an NBA one. Because to me, it is Jordan 90% and then a little sprinkle of 10% of LeBron. But the performance last night, it was ho-hum. It was ho-hum. Like, you couldn't get more national check-down league than that Super Bowl. That Super Bowl last night was the most national check-down league of all the games we've talked about through this entire playoff run. Like, this is where we're at here, where you play 2 deep safeties, right? So you want to take away the deep ball when it came to Tyreek Hill and them. Cool. They get rid of Tyreek Hill. They fortify the offensive line, and now it's more of a possession game. They're going to dink and dunk their way down the field, and then if the game is close, they have Jordan and you do not. That's a real thing. They have Jordan and you do not. So much so that when it got to the overtime and the 49ers kicked that field goal on their first possession, and that 4th down was manageable. I'm sure Shanahan has a play where he could have made that happen. But instead, he takes the points. This is a guy that is thought to be a genius. This is a guy that is thought to be a savant. This is a guy that is thought to be one of the apex play callers in his industry. And this is being historic about it. This isn't just, he's the guy for the moment. The Shanahan thing passed down from father to son, and the Shanahan tree has its tentacles throughout the National Checkdown League. And the guy that we have all felt comfortable calling a genius, although with a couple of caveats, but the guy we have all felt comfortable calling a genius took 3 points when he knew that Jordan was going to get the rock with a chance to finish the game. You take the 3 when you know you're kicking the ball off to Jordan. We've seen this man go down the field and win games with 13 seconds on the clock. That Bills game that everyone goes crazy for when it comes to Josh Allen, they overlook the fact that Mahomes went the length of the field with 13 seconds left. What did you think was going to happen once you decide, well, we'll just take the field goal? Which was no automatic, by the way, because your kicker missed the extra point earlier. So you mean to tell me this genius, who has failed in Super Bowls prior and has been roasted for it, he's neurotic, his neuroses. Seth Wickersham did a story on the For the Network website, a long profile detailing just how micromanaging Kyle Shanahan is. He's essentially the voice of God in that building out there in Santa Clara, where every room where there's meetings going on, Kyle Shanahan is listening. So whether it's position coaches or unit coaches or training staffs, at any point, Kyle Shanahan can jump right into the room via a Zoom or whatever they got going over there, and he can jump in on your meeting. So he has his hands in literally everything in that organization. That man who is that neurotic that he has to know everything that's going on in that building, he didn't know I cannot leave this field with only 3 points in overtime. He was so sure that his defense could stop Mahomes in OT. Do you not know that you're facing Jordan? Did Kyle Shanahan not believe that Patrick Mahomes was Jordan? Did Kyle Shanahan believe that his genius was better than Mahomes' genius and Andy Reid's genius and Steve Spagnuolo's genius and Chris Jones' genius and L'Jarius Sneed's genius? Do you get the point? Did Kyle Shanahan feel like his genius usurped all of the Chiefs' genius? Because it looked like that to me, to think that you can take the rock, which is debatable. I can see it both ways. I'm not here to argue over whether you should take the rock in OT. I'll leave that for the hot takers who want clicks. To me, it's simple. If I know I'm facing Jordan, I want Jordan to do whatever he's going to do and get off the field. And then I have to make the choice. If the Chiefs, you give the rock to the Chiefs, they go down the field and they score. They get that touchdown, right? Okay, cool. Now I know what I got to do. I need a touchdown and a 2-point, or a touchdown and a field goal, and we go to another overtime. That's what I would do. But Shanahan, again, he believed in his own genius as opposed to looking at the other side and realizing what he was up against. The 49ers were said to have the superior team, the deeper roster, the more talented roster. This was a Super Bowl of a system of players, of elite players, versus a team that has one guy. Even though we know it's not really one guy, but when it comes down to it, when you look at the offenses especially, you're looking at a team that has all pros up and down. You're looking at a 49er team that has weapons everywhere, except the most important one. As opposed to the Chiefs, where, yes, they have Kelsey. Yes, we can talk about the promise of Pacheco and Rice down the line. But as it stands right now today, it's Kelsey and it's Jordan. Michael Jordan was so good, he got Scottie Pippen to the Hall of Fame. Patrick Mahomes is so nice, he's going to get a lot of dudes to the Hall of Fame. Did Kyle Shanahan not know what he was up against? Y'all let me know live here in the comments, or if you're watching this on the replay, go ahead and drop that comment as well. So let me know. Did Kyle Shanahan forget who he was up against when he took that field goal on the first possession of OT? I'll hit the chat to see Derpy's up in here. What's good, Derpy? Let's move that. That is very low. That is very low. Stand by. And of course, now my mouse doesn't want to go over there to fix it. Okay, Derpy saying worst fairy tale ending ever. Well, what was worse about it? It was anticlimactic. I'll give you that, Derpy. But what was so bad about it? I see Script Zero's in here. Appreciate him pulling up. We'll get the comment thing fixed shortly. I'm glad I watched today on the replay and not live last night. Yeah, it was interesting to see that go about. And I think ultimately, when it comes right down to it, the game was mid. I think the commercials were also mid. I mean, I think the whole concept of a Super Bowl is you want the two best teams playing at a high level. I think we got that in the second half last night. First half, the 49ers had a chance to put the game away early. And Andy Reid spoke about it in the post game. They had to switch up how they were running routes for Kelsey. And we've been talking about it here on this very stream in regards to, effective routes. What's the route? With tight ends, it could be seams, it could be sluggos. Sluggos was the thing a few years ago. This year, as I've been documenting with y'all, it's been the crossers. Whether it's deep crossers or shallow crossers, or if you want to be technical and call them rub routes, those have been the effective routes this entire playoffs and damn near since the back half of this regular season in the National Checkdown League. So crossers have been the thing. Crossers showed their head in the Super Bowl because Kelsey got hot and Kelsey was out here working heavy. So let's go ahead and tap in. Let's see, let's come off that. And we'll go to the screen. Okay, cool. All right, we'll do that. And we'll move here. Okay, we'll get this window a little bigger. Didn't know the window was that small. All right, so we'll get right in here to the box score. We know what was going on. If we're looking at Patrick Mahomes, right? So Mahomes, 34-46, 333 yards. This was the ugliest and the quietest 333 yards, right? It wasn't an impressive, statistical performance, even though the numbers look like they were amazing. And to some, they might be. But for me and for us who have watched Mahomes, that was not that was not a quintessential, Canton moment. That wasn't one of those. That wasn't Montana against the Bengals, or anything of that stature. That wasn't Steve Young against the Chargers. It wasn't any of that, all right? But when you do look at it, we have a team that is built to be built around one guy, and the one guy playing at a high level all the time. And that's Patrick Mahomes with the Chiefs. That whole roster is built to keep the game close. That defense that did a phenomenal job against the 49er offense, right? Did a phenomenal job against the genius in Kyle Shanahan. I think what happened is that Kyle Shanahan, he didn't make the adjustments I was looking for, or at least he didn't make enough of the running plays that I thought. I mean, you got Christian McCaffrey. I'm sorry, bro. 22 carries is not enough. And I know he got 8 touches through the air. So, it looks good, 160 all-purpose for Christian McCaffrey. But in the sense of the run game, to me, was actually low-key effective. It was a grind. It wasn't going to be bursting big plays and all of that. You see Christian McCaffrey's longest run was 11 yards. Now, we know he's a guy that can break one at any moment, but when it comes right down to it, I think just being effective and just continuing to move the rock was a more viable option. That first possession of OT, when they were running the rock and they were getting into the red zone, I'm like, oh, they're going to run this in. They're just going to keep pounding them. Pause. And then they got cute. And again, you can bring, a lot of people are trying to cape for Kyle Shanahan, saying you can't blame him. He coached a good game and et cetera, et cetera. We can say all of that. And while most of that is true, we also need to look at the fact that in that overtime, he had a chance here. And let me see if I can get to where is the play-by-play? Can I not get to it from here? All right, I'll find it on another site. But matter of fact, let me come to the phone here. So when we're talking about Shanahan in that OT, Shanahan had a chance there to, I think, run that rock in and put the pressure squarely back on the Chiefs. Because to me, that's your job. If you're the genius, it's your genius versus Andy Reid's genius to get this Super Bowl. But the fact of the matter is that you left it to chance, Kyle Shanahan. You let Mahomes, you let Jordan and Phil Jackson have a chance. And you cannot do that under any circumstance. You can't do that. You absolutely, positively cannot do that. All right, do I have the play-by-play here? I think I have the play-by-play. Yeah, okay, all right, but go back to the screen. All right, let's get right to the OT. All right, so we get here. They take this possession. They're running the rock, right? Pass incomplete. Ayuk at penalty. Couple of short dunk passes. McCaffrey left in 3 yards. McCaffrey right guard, 5 yards. Pass to Ayuk for 11. Left tackle McCaffrey, 4 yards. So they're getting down the field. They're getting 3, 4, 5 yards a pop. Purdy pass complete short. That was the McCaffrey thing where he took the dump off and they caught him on a blitz. McCaffrey, 8 yards on a run. They bring in Elijah Mitchell, no gain. Okay? And that was a holding penalty. Anyway, so that play didn't count. So 2nd and 12, they do a short pass for Juszczyk. They gets the first down. Now, 6-yard run on first down for McCaffrey. Okay? Gets it inside, down to inside the 10-yard line. They run it again. Second and 4, no gain. Right? It was a good call on the run blitz. And on 3rd and 4, now you're getting 6 yards, 8 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards, a pop with McCaffrey on this drive. And on 3rd and 4, you put the ball in the hands of Brock Purdy. Again, I'm not the biggest Brock Purdy guy. I'm not going to sit here and say he's trash. But to me, if it's 3rd and 4, and I got Trent Williams, and I got Christian McCaffrey, and it's 3rd and 4, and potentially my season, my legacy is on the line, I am not putting the ball in the hands of a Brock Purdy. I'm not. Not when I got C-Mac, and he's been running effectively on the drive. So while there's been a lot of caping for Kyle Shanahan, this isn't on Kyle, and dog, when somebody loses, there's a reason why you lost. Now, ultimately, you lost because you faced Jordan. But you also lost and contributed to the loss by making it harder on yourself. You wanted to look like you were right. It was hubris. Putting the ball in Brock Purdy's hands, 3rd and 4, when Christian McCaffrey is the reason why you're inside the 10-yard line to begin with. Really, really bad job, in my opinion, from Kyle Shanahan. Y'all can cape for him if you want to. If you still want to call him a genius, you could do all of that. But to me, we judge people by how they perform in the biggest moments, right? And this is the 3rd time he's been in the Super Bowl, and the 3rd time he's had a double-digit lead, and the 3rd time he's blown all 3 leads and lost. So go ahead and cape for that if you want. He can scheme up a lot of shit. But you know what got him inside the 10-yard line with a chance to win the Super Bowl? The run game. And what did he abandon on 3rd and 4? The run game. I'll hit the comments real quick. Scrub 0. And blow these comments up. I don't know what's going on with that, but make sure to move that up. Okay, cool. Kyle Shanahan wanted to show his QB was a superstar instead of utilizing the real superstar. No, that's facts. That's facts. That's facts. Like he trusted Brock Purdy on 3rd and 4 instead of running the rock with Christian McCaffrey. And I have not heard a good excuse yet. I've read a lot of reports about what was said in the post game and all that stuff. I haven't heard anything that would make me think, oh, okay, I see the logic. Even the whole thing about taking the rock in overtime, he explained it. I still don't agree, but I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess I see your point, but to me, you're giving Jordan the chance to decide what he wants to do to win the game. And why would you ever put yourself in a position that to do that? Script Zero. Kyle Shanahan ain't built like his daddy. I'll say this. I mean, certainly his father won back-to-back Super Bowls, right? But he also had a Jordan-type figure in John Elway, right? But he couldn't do shit with John Elway until he got who? Terrell Davis. So if anyone should know, man, your QB could be whatever, but you need that run game. It should be Kyle Shanahan. And that's what he is known for. He's known for the zone run scheme. There are some that will tell you the real genius between Mike and Kyle Shanahan is really Kyle, not Mike. There are those that would tell you that Kyle was the one whispering stuff to Mike in Denver. I'm not going to co-sign any of that. I'm just telling you what I have heard. Okay? So there are those that are saying it's really been Kyle the whole time. Make of that what you will. But the bottom line is Mike Shanahan has 2 Super Bowls. Kyle Shanahan is 0-3. I just think you can't do that. When you know you have Michael Jordan across from you chomping at the bit, and all he has to do is get a touchdown. The Chiefs were saying in the postgame, they were prepared to go. They had their overtime plays ready, and they had the overtime plays ready for a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. So they were lockstep prepared. We can kill Andy Reid about his time in Philly with time management, timeouts, and all that stuff. But since he's gotten to Kansas City, a lot of that shit has gone out the window. The Chiefs were prepared. Mahomes was not going to take no field goal unless it was dire straits and he had to. Kyle Shanahan had a chance to put his foot on the neck and apply pressure to Jordan. And instead, he left him a whole bunch of time and only needed a field goal. And as soon as he sent that field goal kicker out, I said, best case scenario for him is that he misses this kick. Because if he makes this kick and they have this lead, people are going to believe. And all that's going to do is make it hurt that much more once Jordan takes that rock and go right back down the other way of the field and get a touchdown. And that's exactly what happened. And again, the way that they did it, we talked about this is the National Checkdown League. Look at these plays. Pacheco up the middle for 3 yards. Short pass to Rashee Rice, 6 yards. Pacheco up the middle, no gain. Mahomes ran his damn self, 8 yards. Mahomes pass short right. MVS, that was a play where he caught the shit for 5 yards and then went backwards for -3 yards. Ridiculous. And then another short pass, 7 yards. Rashee Rice, 13 yards. Pacheco, another 4 yards. This is dinking and dunking their way down the field. This is the National Checkdown League in a nutshell. Even the greatest quarterback we've ever seen has to play like this. The greatest quarterback we've ever seen has to play like this. And then you see the big scramble up the middle for 19 yards. Pacheco up the middle for 3 yards. And then even getting it closer, short middle to Kelsey for 7 yards. Checking down his way down the field. This 49er defense, yes, they lost Greenlaw. But this 49er defense that has all pros up and down. Steve Wilkes, I think, is taking a lot of unnecessary heat. I think he schemed up the best thing he could. But when you're facing Jordan, that shit don't matter. The Utah Jazz had good schemes against Michael Jordan. The Seattle Supersonics had good schemes against Michael Jordan. The Portland Trailblazers had good schemes against Michael Jordan. Did any of it matter? No. They took that L. So Steve Wilkes, no matter what he was doing, he got killed or he got burnt by the blitz. He couldn't do what Spags was doing. Spags was sending the heat damn near every play and getting the pressure in Brock Purdy's face. And L'Jarius Sneed said it in the postgame that we were trying to force them to pass the ball. They wanted the ball in Brock Purdy's hands. And when you look at those weapons, why wouldn't you? You don't want Christian McCaffrey getting 30 carries and then another 10 through the air. Dinking and dunking your way down the field, that is what got the Kansas City Chiefs another Super Bowl. Because when you have Michael Jordan, even when it's dinking and dunking, it's still the best thing that is happening on the field. Other players can be more electric. Other players can be physically dominating and intimidating. But when it comes down to it, that special mix, that special blend, there's only one. Josh Allen is bigger and stronger. Lamar Jackson is faster and more elusive. But when you talk about the complete package, it's Patrick Mahomes. And he's number one. Then there's a giant, mile-sized, Grand Canyon-sized gap. And then there's everybody else. And don't let the scores of these games fool you. That's by design. He doesn't have the roster to go blow teams out. So these games have to be close. Because the difference maker is I have Jordan and you don't. And I know that sounds way simplistic for a sport that people seem to make so complex in football, but when you have a one of one, that actually is the difference. Because when you're looking at stats here, those are great stats. And let's jump into these windows. Kyle Shanahan, right? I saw this and I was like, I gotta show this to y'all. So, Kyle Shanahan, I saw a tweet saying Kyle Shanahan is the Kendall Roy of the NFL, and now I'll never stop thinking about it. And bruh, you start looking at this, this looks real to me. I mean, shout out to Shiv with them yams. But anyway, Kyle Shanahan could be the Kendall Roy of the NFL, the National Checkdown League. The coulda, shoulda, woulda. All the promise in the world. All the opportunities handed to him. Yet when he's given the opportunity, he shits the bed. 3 times he's had double-digit leads in the Super Bowl. We could have said 28-3 was an anomaly. But then you go do it 2 more times? We don't let Doc Rivers slide for being the NBA coach that has the most blown 3-1 leads in history. We don't let Doc Rivers slide. At least Doc won a championship. But he has the most blown 3-1 leads in history. We don't let him slide. Why are we letting Kyle Shanahan slide? Genius, sure. Innovator in this passing game and running game, sure. But as a head coach, I think there's a discussion that needs to happen. It won't. Like nothing, the 49ers are never going to get rid of Shanahan, or at least no time soon, right? Shanahan will be able to walk away when he wants to, right? However, there's a difference between being a really good coach and being a really good play caller / OC. Is Kyle Shanahan a fraud as a head coach? Not fraud overall. Is he a fraud as a head coach? Because you may be a genius by going up 28-3 and having 2 other double-digit leads in a Super Bowl. But you also might be a fraud for blowing a 28-3 lead and blowing 2 more double-digit leads in the Super Bowl. So which is it for Kyle Shanahan? Y'all let me know. I mean, when you look at this, Kyle Shanahan, when calling plays in the Super Bowl, 0-3 record, outscored 29-74 in the second half / OT. Y'all make it make sense, man. And we'll talk about that Kansas City Chiefs defense at some point, because what they did against the genius, it needs to be spoken about. I'll read this for those on the audio side, because I will be using this audio for the podcast episode this week. This was the 48th game where Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and Deebo Samuel have all played together. It's the 3rd time they've combined for less than 100 scrimmage yards. The other 2 instances were last year's NFC Championship when Brock Purdy got hurt, and this year's game against the Browns when Deebo Samuel got hurt. That's a key thing. The only other times this happened was when somebody important got hurt. Deebo and Brock Purdy both got hurt in the other 2 instances. Nobody was hurt on that 49er offense, yet the fewest scrimmage yards by Ayuk, Kittle, and Deebo Samuel in a game where all 3 played. They had 94 yards combined. 94 yards combined against your 3 best weapons outside of McCaffrey. 94 yards. Again, you're supposed to be a genius. You're supposed to be an innovator. You're supposed to be someone that can, take it apart where you can scheme anybody open at any time. You're surrounding a mid QB with all these weapons. And your brain is supposed to get all them open in a myriad of different ways. Yet when it mattered, you couldn't do nothing. Now, this Chiefs secondary, and we've been talking about it on this playoff run, and we may need to have a conversation of, was this the hardest run to a Super Bowl championship ever? The gauntlet that the Chiefs defense had to encounter. We could talk about the offense side all day, but what the defense had to endure. Going up against Miami in that dynamic offense, then going up against Buffalo in the Josh Allen offense, then going to Baltimore and dealing with the 2-time MVP Lamar Jackson, and then dealing with the genius Kyle Shanahan and weapons galore in the 49ers. And they didn't blink once over any of those 4 matchups. They didn't blink against Tyreek and the Dolphins. They didn't blink against Josh Allen and the Bills. They didn't blink against Lamar and the Ravens. And they did not blink again last night against the genius Shanahan, Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy, and all them weapons. You need to put some respect on this Chiefs defense. And to me, the most important part of that Chiefs defense, you have to go to the interior. Interior line play was the difference. Chris Jones was a menace. Chris Jones, who had to hold out to get his bread all the way up to the opening day of the season, opening game of the season, had to hold out to get his bread. And now he gets to go into free agency. And I know the Chiefs owner has already said that Patrick Mahomes is underpaid and they can never be able to pay him what his true value is, you might have to have that same type of talk with Chris Jones. Because the thing with Spagnuolo defenses, if that front line ain't hitting, all that other shit don't work. I can tell you, watching that here with the Giants, if that D-line ain't getting after it, all them cute timing blitzing schemes don't hit. He had Strahan, he had Tuck and OC and all them boys. Like you have to have those linemen, and those linemen have to be interchangeable. That's another key to the Spag system. And then you could get cute with all the blitzes. Then you could blitz from all types of angles and timing the gaps right and all that stuff, because you know you got 3 or 4 menaces that are getting after it every single play. Now there was a stat, yards per play, I believe. Yards per rush, I believe. When the 49ers ran the ball to the edges, they averaged about 9 yards a pop. When they ran the ball to the interior, they averaged 2 yards a pop. Interior line play over everything else. You could talk to me about linebackers. You could talk to me about secondaries, but interior linemen matter. They're the closest to the dude holding the ball every single play. It's really that simple why that position is so important. When you have 4 down linemen, those 2 dudes on the inside, they are continuously around the ball by default. So when those 2 can create pressure and create havoc and bat balls down, as Brock Purdy found out yesterday, often and early, that was a game plan tweak. Allegedly, the Chiefs were in conversations with the Ravens people and even the Browns people, and getting tea on how to slow down Purdy and how to affect him. And the whole thing that kept coming back to them, again, this is all alleged, was that push up the middle and get your hands up. Even Myles Garrett was on Radio Row during the Super Bowl. He basically gave the info out for the free. For the free, because the Browns put a havoc. They wreaked havoc on the 49ers in the regular season. So you know the Chiefs and Spags was studying that tape. And if you got any of your mans in them on that staff, hit them up. Pressure up the middle. Get your hands up, because Purdy is not the most imposing figure in the pocket. And they made it happen. The interior line play was the difference. And again, my guy Warren Sharp here has been good to us all season long. Just giving you some notes about the Kansas City Chiefs and how improbable this run is and how scary they could look even further into the future. This was supposed to be the year to knock off the Chiefs. Mahomes' most expensive cap hit in the NFL at $37 million. His O-line was weakened. His number 1 wide receiver was a rookie. They were forced to play 6 straight games at a rest disadvantage weeks 12 through 17. The only time a team had to do that in NFL history. They had to play in Germany. They didn't get a first-round bye. They had to play on the road in the divisional round as an underdog. That was against the Bills. They had to play on the road in the conference championship round as an underdog. That was against the Ravens. They were underdogs in the Super Bowl and were losing by double digits. It was the toughest. Okay, so remember, I asked that question, is this the toughest road a Super Bowl team has ever had to face? Warren Sharp is giving you the data that this was. He's saying, quote, it was the toughest path to a Super Bowl based on strength of opponent faced ever. Okay, so the Kansas City Chiefs, it was the toughest path to a Super Bowl based on the strength of the opponent faced ever. And they still won the Super Bowl. Make of it what you will, man. But what we saw was special. It didn't look special. It wasn't transcendent. It won't have any, magical moments that'll live on in history. But it was a dub, and they got it done because they got Jordan. Not all of Jordan's highlights were immortal. Like, well, what's the highlight from the Suns series? Him passing the ball to John Paxson hitting the three. What's the memorable moment from Michael Jordan in Bulls versus Suns? He had a great finals, but what was the moment? Can't name it. But doesn't matter. It was chip number 3. I'll hit the chat. Scrub Zero. Kyle Shanahan ain't that guy. I mean, I think there needs to be a conversation. He's phenomenal as an OC and a play caller, even though I think he gave up on the run late in overtime. But as a head coach, there might be an asterisk there in terms of whether he's better. Like Spags. Spags tried to be a coach, right? Wasn't he a coach for the Rams? Wasn't Spags a coach? Come on, keyboard. I thought Spags was a head coach. He's never been a head coach. I thought he had a head coaching stint. Yeah, as a Rams. Yeah, he was mid. That's me being generous. He was mid. He was 10-38 as a head coach. Then he went back to being what? A DC. Why? Because he's actually a immortal elite DC. And he's okay with that. And he should be okay with that. He knows his strength now. He tried it, and it didn't work out. I think Shanahan might be entering that, where we might be like, yo, dogs, you're a coordinator. I know your dad was a head coach, and you want to follow in his footsteps and improve upon that, but you might just be a step below. Can you live with that? Or are you going to be Kendall Roy and be out here, staring at the ocean as the session goes to black in the finale? Spoiler alert. Scrub Zero in the chat heavy. Chiefs defense played well, but the offenses they played really weren't that special in my opinion. Maybe San Francisco, but we know Shanahan chokes big games away. What offenses did they not see? Like they couldn't face the Bengals because Burrow got hurt. The Chargers were frauds. Like what team did you want them to beat? They faced a Miami Dolphins offense that put up 70 earlier in the year. They faced the Bills without Ken Dorsey. So they faced a better Bills offense. And then, look, we've gone over the whole Lamar thing with the Ravens and what they should have done, only running the ball 10 times. But, like, that Ravens offense was dynamic. They put up a 50-piece earlier in the year. And then they faced a team that, has a genius play caller, weapons galore, and they ran through all three. So, to me, that Chiefs defense, I'm giving them a little bit more props there. I'm going to give them way more props there because, to me, that's a gauntlet. It's different quarterbacks. Tua's not a running threat. Josh Allen's main weapon is him running. Lamar is both. He can run it and sling it. And then you got Brock Purdy, who's surrounded by talent everywhere he goes on the field. Script Zero. Dolphins like the Mike D'Antoni Phoenix Suns. Bills have good players, but they're not scaring anyone, and the Ravens coaching just played into the Chiefs' hands. All fair points. I cannot disagree, but I'm not going to take credit away for them still having to show up and get the job done. Because The Dolphins could have put up more points, but they didn't. The Bills, probably looking back on it, were probably the team closest to actually beating the Chiefs, but they didn't. In the Ravens, we heard all this talk about the linebackers and Cal Hamilton, and Kelsey goes out there and what was he, 11 targets, 11 receptions? Script Zero. All the plus championship defenses I can think of had key players at the DT spot, not just the edge rushers. That's facts. And I'm getting a little annoyed. You know, I was listening to a couple of podcasts today, and they're saying the 49ers need to find, like, obviously everyone seems to think the Chase Young thing, it didn't pan out, right? Even though he got some traction early, big sack on the first drive or whatever, but everyone's saying, okay, well, the Chase Young experiment didn't work. So we need to go find an edge rusher to take the pressure off of Nick Bosa. I'm sorry, you're paying Nick Bosa how much? You gave him Chase Young and don't forget Hargrave in the middle there, and he needs even more help? Is he him or not? And he made some mistakes last night. Let's see if I could pull that. Where is it? Where's the dots? I didn't do it. Or is it here? Is this the play? Yes, I think this is the play. All right, so let me just kill the audio on that. So Bosa crashes, and he gets caught out there, and you do the little shallow cross, another crosser with Kelsey. That was a pivotal conversion, right? Because again, it's like a slight rub route. It's not a traditional rub route because you have the cross, and then you have 83. Who's 83? That's Scantling? That's probably no. That's the other tight end. He's doing a slant, but he's bringing his guy into the same field and has to have the same depth as Kelsey's defender, which I believe this is Fred Warner, right? And then you see that cross. You see it right here. It's not a rub route. It's a cross, but the effect of it is a rub route. So that's what they were doing. But the fact of the matter is that the edge rushers were crashing way too hard in the second half. In the second half, they got way undisciplined where they were just pinning their ears back trying to get sacks. I went back and rewatched it, and that was one of the main things I wrote down. I was like, why are they pinning their ears back? You're playing into Mahomes' hands. Scripture is saying 83 is great. Okay, yeah. So if you watch this here, so 12 personnel for the Chiefs was money in the second half. Second half, 12 personnel for those who are not hip. That is one running back and 2 tight ends. Okay. The Chiefs were going crazy in the second half with 12 and 13. So 3 tight end personnel in that second half. Here you got 12 personnel. Okay. 2 tight ends and your one running back. Okay. And again, we're looking at just simple play design. You have your running back going out here into the flat. You have Kelsey, again, shallow cross. But its effect, because of a slant here by Gray, is a rub route. And again, the timing of Mahomes and the protection. Okay? All of this has to work. So when Mahomes gets the snap, he drops back. Edge rushers are coming upfield, which is fine because, again, the tackles know this ball's coming out quick. We just need to make sure they don't blow this up. They're not blowing it up. Do they blitz on this play? No. Straight 4-man rush. Man-to-man everywhere. Man-to-man everywhere. 2 deep safeties. Okay? Huge play. Again, little rub right there, and the ball's out. So you see it. Ball is out. As soon as the rub hasn't even officially happened yet, and the ball's out, because you got Jordan, and Jordan knows this play is going to be open. As soon as he sees the coverage, it's man to man. This is open. I'm already throwing it. And then he hits him in stride. See, all these things have to hit. Protection has to hit. Kelce has to get off the line. Gray has to get off the line. And then Mahomes has to hit him in stride. So he has to predict that he's going to be open, which he does. And then he hits him in stride. And that allows to get the yak. That's the type of shit that you're going up against. Kyle Shanahan decided to allow that to have the rock in overtime after kicking a field goal. Come on, man. Come on, man. We talk about the defensive linemen, right? Top Super Bowl pass rush win rates. The highest was Chris Jones. The second highest was Karlaftis. I forget how they pronounce that name. But the top two guys were Kansas City Chiefs, and those were guys that were interior. Okay? These are interior linemen. The next two were Chase Young. Chase Young and Nick Bosa. It's about interior line play. Scrub Zero, why are teams still giving Kelce free releases? I have no idea. And specifically, you're talking about Fred Warner. Fred Warner of all people. Why is Fred Warner in a big spot? Big spot. Like, this is 11 seconds left on third down. 11 seconds left, 15 seconds left, or whatever it is, on 3rd and 7. And you're letting this free release happen. He's able to get off. Who else is he going to go to here? Look at the routes. It's a too deep look right away. It's a too deep look right away. Where is he supposed to go with this rock except for Kelce? He's not going to throw the ball in the middle here because he's being covered here and he's got linebacker help over the top. He's not going to go here because he's got safety help over the top. Like, the only place to go is Kelce has to win. Kelce has to get off the line and win. And he does. And it was against Fred Warner. It's amazing when you see how simple this is. Because you get the running back in the flat. That brings over this linebacker, right? Was this a nickel look? Yeah, it was a nickel look. 2 linebackers, right? So 2 linebackers, 5 DBs. So you have your one running back. You have your one linebacker go after the running back, and your other linebacker, the better linebacker, arguably the best linebacker in the league, go after the tight end, who is used often as a wide receiver. And he's able to get off the line and beat Warner to the spot and get him in that little rub. Wild. Wild. Absolutely wild. And on that last possession, when to set up the field goal. So this is the 3rd down. This is overtime. This is on that incomplete pass after they've been running the ball down the Chiefs' throats to get inside the 10-yard line. And this is the pass route that they decided to go with. Now, in essence, this was going to be open. This is open. Ayuk is open. Ayuk is going to be open. Or you could even go McCaffrey here if you lead him right. So you bring McCaffrey in motion. McCaffrey's going to be open here in the flat. or you can throw over the top to Ayuk. But the problem is Chris Jones is right there. Chris Jones is literally right there in his back pocket. Purdy can't even get the snap off. He can't even get the throw off. Because they're bringing pressure. Let's count. 4 down linemen, linebacker bringing down, that's the safety coming down. Like it's a lot. It's a nickel look. Safety crashes because he sees McCaffrey. But all this extra pressure, Chris Jones just crashes the gap. Crashes the gap. And it was Swiss cheese. Now again, even this backside play is open. This is open here as well. But because Chris Jones is literally in his face, and this is in shotgun, by the way, even in shotgun, he's able to crash. Unblocked, untouched. If he's not there, this is open if he leads him correctly, and this is wide ass open. This is open. You throw the ball high, Ayuk gets it at his high point, that's a touchdown. But because it's Spags and because they've been bringing heat, offensive line, you got 51 crashing here. He's probably going to go after McCaffrey, which is what happens, goes after McCaffrey. But then right here, this side, it was a bum rush. It's a bum rush. Again, you could have ran the rock. You could have ran the rock. But he decided not to. Again, more love for the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Patrick Mahomes is amazing, but also really impressive that in the playoffs, the Chiefs faced the Dolphins with their speed, Josh Allen and the Bills, Lamar and the Ravens, and the 49ers with all that skill. And KC still only allowed 4 plays of 25 yards or more all postseason. Bruh. Come on, man. Mahomes is Jordan, but let's not sleep on what this Chiefs defense has done. Spags gets credit, that secondary gets credit, and that D-line. Chris Jones, the Hunt family better send him a blank check. They played games with him heading into this season. He's been above and beyond. He's outplayed that bullshit contract. Pay that man. Head to the chat. Scripts here, Chris Jones with that right here timing. Dude, it was so beautiful to watch. That's why I'm so glad that they had these little dot things with the next gen, because I'm like, that was so great. This is not loading up. But yeah, dude, it was so great to watch him just bum rush that play and force that. And again, the play, that even that ball is up, even that route is open. That route's open. But when you got Chris Jones barreling down on you, Purdy just wanted to get rid of the ball. Bruh. Masterful job. Masterful job. Script zero. Trent Williams can't block everyone. Yeah, no, that's facts. The silverback cannot block everyone. What are you doing that play? Now, he did his job. They double teamed the edge rusher. That's a little suspect, but you know, he did his job. And the pressure didn't come from that side. Pressure came from the opposite side. So like to Scrub Zero's point, he can't play left and right tackle at the same time. So L'Jarius Sneed was asked if the Chiefs' blitz-heavy game plan was meant to slow down the 49ers' run game. And there's a typo here. He said run, not throw. But he said, yes, we knew they were going to run the ball. We just wanted Brock to throw the ball. They're giving you the game plan. We want Brock Purdy to decide the game. And your man's, Kyle Shanahan, played right into it on the biggest play of the game, in my opinion, that third down inside the 10-yard line. on 3rd and 4, deciding to put the ball in Brock Purdy's hands instead of the best player on his team in Christian McCaffrey. And the best player on the Chiefs defense decided to make a play and came untouched. How does the best player on the other team's defense on the biggest play of the game come untouched? The whole line for the San Francisco collapses. They pinch inside. And they still miss Chris Jones crash in the middle. How do you pinch inside to pick up blitz coverage? Two guys are coming here. The problem is one of the linemen you're now allowing to come free. 68. 68 is supposed to be right there. But it was too late. What he was thinking, I have no idea. Now, there was a backup guard at one point, but this has nothing to do with that. This is just Chris Jones is right over you, bruh. You're a right tackle. You got Kittle right next to you, and McCaffrey's in motion. You're the right tackle. How do you look at Chris Jones blow right by you untouched? How, Sway? How? Crazy. I appreciate those pulling up. I appreciate if y'all would hit that thumbs up button, that like button. You could check in on any platform. We're still going strong on LinkedIn, it appears, so we're good over there as well. So thankful for those to checking out the stream tonight. Just wanted to tap into a live stream of the DCND podcast, doing a Super Bowl recap episode. Your thoughts are welcome in the chat. Abigail's pulling up. Salute. Game manager gets you 3. A game changer gets you 6. Yeah, Cam Newton is the biggest winner from all of this. Last night, Cam Newton, he had an undefeated postseason. He said Tua was a game manager, and he turned out to be one. He said Dak Prescott was a game manager, turned out to be one. And now the last one left on that list was Brock Purdy, right? Brock Purdy, game manager. Although I don't think anyone was denying. I think there was some people in the media that were saying shit for clicks, which is often. But I think ultimately, no one really thought Brock Purdy was more than what he was. Like, no one is sitting here thinking, well, Brock Purdy's now a top 10 QB. Like, only a 49er fan would say that, or only someone trying to get some clicks would say that, right? Here's the issue if we're playing this forward, and I'll come off the screen here for a little bit. If we're trying to have the conversation of, well, what now for the 49ers? Do they have a quarterback issue? Yes. Here's the problem. They've talked themselves into a corner where they have to make a decision about Brock Purdy. They cannot extend him yet because of where he was drafted. They got about another year or so to figure out what the hell they want to do with Brock Purdy. They literally have everything else. They have the genius coach. They got the best running back in the league. They got great wide receivers. They have a really good tight end. They have a linchpin at left tackle. They have a good defense. They have everything else except the quarterback. And while Kyle Shanahan keeps losing, he's losing to them ones. Who did he lose to when he was 28-3? Lost to Brady. And now he's lost 2 Super Bowls to Mahomes. Therein lies the difference. When you don't have one of those ones, you can give me all the weapons in the world. And we've been talking about this a lot here on not only this podcast, but definitely on this live stream here on YouTube. It's like you're either going to get a mid-tier QB and surround them with elite top tier talent everywhere else, or you keep taking and drafting and signing QBs until you get a one of one, and then you just give them enough help to keep that thing rolling. And I've been asking, which way do you prefer? The issue is that, to me, it's a lot harder to go get a mid-tier QB and surround him with top-tier weapons, because it's a lot harder, because it's just a sum of parts. It's a quantity issue, right? I only have to hit on the QB thing once. But once I hit on it, then I could just surround it with good enough. Whereas if I have a mid-tier QB, I got a lot of work to do to go get a great offensive line, a great running back, great receivers, and a great defense, and a great play caller. That's a lot of extra stuff. Whereas if I just hit once and get the one-on-one QB, it's a lot easier to find good enough receivers, good enough running backs, good enough offensive line, a good enough defense. Because that's what you're looking at. We're seeing it in the flesh. We're seeing it in the flesh. The 49ers have hit on everything. They have a weapon in Debo, another weapon in Christian McCaffrey, a good-ass receiver in Brandon Ayuk, a really good tight end in George Kittle, and a silverback, Trent Williams, anchoring the offensive line. You even could throw in Juszczyk. They have rebirthed the fullback position with Juszczyk. They got so many weapons, even their fullback is a weapon. And the other team just has Jordan. That's it. Therein lies the difference. The Phoenix Suns had Barkley, KJ, in his prime Dan Marley, Oliver Miller, Richard Dumas. That Suns roster was better and deeper than the Bulls in '93. But did it matter, though? Barkley has never played better than that year. Fresh off the Barcelona Olympics, the best shape of his life. He's admitted as such. Best shape of his life, won his only MVP, his regular season MVP. And you know how Jordan is. He took that personal. Because he's Jordan, I should win MVP every year because I'm him. Did it matter that the Suns roster was better? Did it matter that the Suns roster was deeper? No. Because the Bulls had Jordan. And that's what it is with the Chiefs. It doesn't matter that the Suns, it doesn't matter that the 49ers had a better roster. It doesn't matter that they had a deeper roster. It doesn't matter that their offense actually has legitimate weapons up and down. Because the other side had Jordan. Hit the chat. Richard Sherman was talking that talk too? Yeah, he was. I mean, I don't think you have, and here's the thing, right? And I think here's where the whole new media thing comes in, and allow me this quick diatribe. It's like, I don't think you have to be an ex-player and a really good ex-player to see that Brock Purdy's a game manager. Like, I think all of us on this stream know that Brock Purdy there's a ceiling to his skill set. And it's not the highest ceiling. I didn't need to be a all-pro, borderline Hall of Fame corner in Richard Sherman to know that. I didn't need to be a Hall of Fame QB and a Heisman Trophy winner in Cam Newton to know that. I've watched enough football in my life, and I've studied enough football in my life, and have learned and have had conversations with people that have been around this game longer than I've been alive to know, oh, Brock Purdy? Oh, yeah, no, that's nothing that special. Like, he's good. He's better than where he was drafted, but let's not go crazy. We all, watching this stream, more or less had that opinion. And we all have been proven right. So the whole thing of, at some point with new media, they like to think at some point, people like us that aren't ex-professional athletes, we have to sit a conversation out because we haven't played. And while on the surface, that seems logical, in actuality, that doesn't make sense. Because if I'm going to sit here and say I have watched sports my entire life, so much so that I have studied sport my entire life, you're not going to tell me what I know is irrelevant because I never got signed to a 10-day contract in the NBA. Or I never got a training camp invite in the NFL. You're not going to tell me that all the stuff that I studied, all the stuff that I read, all the stuff that I watched is irrelevant. Now, if you want to tell me, well, I don't know what it's like to be gassed on the field, sure, I don't know. I don't. So if your point is relating specifically to that, then sure, you got me. But if you're telling me your analysis is better because you played and I didn't, you need to give me more information than that. Because in this new media thing, we have seen enough players go out here and say the dumbest shit imaginable, but they're former players. So if a former player can say some dumb shit, and someone on the internet that's not a former player can say some dumb shit, then where's that alleged advantage of being a former player? Diatribe over. If you have thoughts on that, feel free to light up the chat. Scrub Zero. Kyle Shanahan thought Brock Purdy was more than what he was, and look where they are at. Yeah, no. And they're going to have to pay him. They might have to really pay him. Scrub Zero. And I think the Niners are up against it in the cap this offseason. That wouldn't shock me. The Chiefs got hella cap room, by the way. Chiefs got a lot of cap room. Apparently, they want to make sure that they go give Mahomes his money. Yes, that's even more money. Yes, the man that got $500 million is in line to get a payday raise. Yes, as he should. As he should, because the owner keeps saying he's underpaid. $500 million and get underpaid. I hope he doesn't take a team-friendly contract this time around. That contract he signed 10 years, $500 million, which again, it's the NFL, so there's funny money in there. But that was a team-friendly contract. They have like the second or third youngest roster in the league. Go get your money. Because all those youngins, if they nice, and they're primarily going to be nice because of you need to get your money. You hooked them up the first go around. And the owner was out here saying you're underpaid at $500 million. You need to go get paid. Could Mahomes get him for $750? He can't sign another 10-year deal, right? Like, he's learned, right? He signs another 10-year deal, then the NFLPA is just, if I'm the NFLPA, much like they tried to get with Lamar and try to help him in his negotiations in terms of what he should and should not do. If there's any sniff or rumor that Mahomes is going to take another 10-year deal, I would be on the next flight to Kansas City. You'd be like, no, please don't do this. Stop signing your life away. You could be a lifelong Chief and not have to actually sign your life away. Okay? Abdiel. Hot take. If KC still had Eric B., they smacked San Fran in the first half 23-10. I mean, I think, look, the fact that Matt Nagy is a Super Bowl champ, it bothers the old me. the me that was a Chicago Bears fan back in the day, the fact that he now, I mean, he got one last year, but now he's like the official OC. The fact that Matt Nagy has a ring as an OC is problematic as hell when he literally is get to draw plays up for Jordan. I don't know if they smacked them if they had Eric Bieniemy. I certainly think the offense wouldn't look as constipated as it looked in the first half. Like the 49ers definitely took away some things. They were double covering Kelsey. That's going back and rewatching it earlier today. The main takeaway was they did a good job stopping the run on early downs, and they doubled Kelsey. Now, what happened to that in the second half, especially later in the third quarter into the fourth when Kelsey started to cook, I have no idea. I didn't see those double teams anymore. So I don't know what happened to those. But yeah, I think that the offense certainly wouldn't have been as constipated as it looked in the first half for sure. Scrub Zero. Mahomes better get all the money fully guaranteed if he's well enough to give KC another 10 years. Here's the problem. And there's a video on the channel here where I talked about it. Mahomes was not really, he wasn't feeling that whole fully guaranteed talk. He definitely threw some shade at Lamar Jackson when like the rumors of Lamar wanting that nasty man contract. Mahomes sent some shade towards Lamar, not warning. Like he felt. Well, let me see if I can pull it up. Let me see if I can pull up the exact thing. Let me see. That was a while ago. That was like in the summer. Let's see. Is this the right article? Okay, yep. I think I have it here. Let me go ahead and put this up on the screen. We see what's going on around the league, Mahomes said. My agent and the team always keep open communication. I worry about legacy and winning rings more than making money at this moment. Okay, so understand what he's saying. I worry about legacy and winning rings more than making money at this moment. This is a man that had already signed a 10-year, $500 million contract. Okay. All right. You've got to find that line where you're making a good amount of money, but you're still keeping a lot of great players around you. Okay. So, like this here to me is shade. I got called a hater for saying that, but to me, this here is shade. You've got to find that line where you're making a good amount of money, but you're still keeping a lot of great players around you. Mahomes, they gave you 500 M's and told you that they needed to trade a Tyreek Hill to give you 500 M's. And then the owner turned right around and said, you're underpaid. I'll run that back for you so you can understand the timeline of events. Mahomes wanted his money. They offered him buku bucks. But to give him his money, they had to trade away Tyreek Hill because Tyreek Hill wanted his money. So in theory, the Chiefs were saying, we can't pay both of y'all. So we'll pay the quarterback and we'll trade away Tyreek Hill. Then they signed the quarterback, and then the owner of the team turns right around and said, this quarterback is underpaid and will always be underpaid. You want to give that man another 10 years? Okay, Pat. Anywho, so yeah. Let's see where we at here. Scrub Zero. Man, I forgot Nagy was on the staff. Hey, bro, you notice nobody even mentioned Matt Nagy yesterday. Nobody even mentioned Nagy. Like, it was all about Andy Reid, because Andy Reid is the actual one. He's the actual one doing the play calls. But as the OC, you get the credit. Script Zero, we know Patty Mahomes is a company guy. Yes, unfortunately. Yeah. He's not all the way McNabb, but he's close. He's not all the way McNabb. You know what I'm saying? Like, Hope said, you never go Eric Benet. You never go Donovan McNabb. But Mahomes is close. It's close. It's close. Abdiel. Half-breed, well, half-breed. Hey, I mean, it's a really interesting dynamic. I wish we could do a deep dive on his parents. And I know his pops came under fire. By the way, Black Met, so salute. All the Black Mets used to be out in Southside back in the 80s and 90s. There's stories about Pat Mahomes in Southside when he was a pitcher for the Mets. I'll just leave it at that. I'm not too surprised at some of the stuff he's been in the news for. I'll just say that, knowing the stories I heard about him in Southside. But having the dynamic of Pat Mahomes Sr. and the moms, who is like, I don't think this is like, I mean, I'll say alleged, but she's like MAGA. So how did her and I think there's a dynamic there that, needs to be explored. I don't need to see the wife or the brother in the club, and I don't care about any of that. That's the doc. That's the doc I want to see. If you want to bring back the quarterback shit on Netflix, dig into that. How did that? Okay. Well, was that a cash grab? Did she use him for? All right. Hey, look, I'm just gonna go ahead and keep that pushing. Abdiel, I heard he got a MAGA moms. Yeah, I've heard similar things. Yeah. So again, how did that? Because we see how Pat Mahomes Sr. is. So, I mean, I'm not surprised that they ultimately didn't work out, but how did that even be a thing in the first? I don't know. All right, let's see. What else can we get into? I appreciate y'all for pulling up, man. We hanging on strong here. We're going on. We have a good run of people popping in. Let's see. Mahomes running the rock was definitely a factor. I'm trying to see if I'm trying to pull this up. Oh, Scribs, hit the chat. Let's see. There's a reason some people I know say, don't touch the Wonder Bread. Yeah, if she can't use your comb, don't bring her home, right? If she can't use your comb, don't bring her home. It's a whole bunch of sayings like that. Trust and believe. It's a whole bunch of sayings about that. I just can't get over how great this tweet is. This is such a great tweet. If you watch Succession, is Kyle Shanahan the Kendall Roy of the National Checkdown League? So good. All right, let's see how much time we got left here. Okay. We got a few more. I could go like another 10, 15 minutes. Any questions? Let's open it up to some Q&A. Let's open it to some Q&A. I'm here for the next 10 to 15 minutes. If the conversation really takes off, I can stay on a little bit longer, but I got like another 10 to 15. I think there's going to be a lot mentioned about this Super Bowl in regards to what does this mean for legacy talk and all that type of stuff. And I think to the casual, Mahomes became like the guy last night. Like, he became the guy. Like, it's a real thing. He became the guy to casuals last night. It was prominent. Like, as much as the whole Taylor Swift thing and Kelsey thing took off, I think the cementing of, oh shit, he really is him. That was what happened last night. Scrub Zero. Kendall Shanahan. Hey, I'm with it. I'm with it. Let's ride with it. I'm with it. And again, I can't keep looking at this without putting up just Shiv and the Gams. Shiv and the Gams. It's a real thing. I know we just talked about no Wonder Bread. If you can't use your comb, don't bring it home. But those yams, those are Australian yams. I don't know. We might have to reconsider. I don't know. Umar going to have to reconsider some things. But the fact of the matter is, I do think Kyle Shanahan is the Kendall Roy of the National Checkdown League. All right, I'll come up the screen here, see if we can pull up some other stuff real quick. Let's see, do we have anything? Let's see. Where are we at here? Sports, let's get into that. There will be another pod later in the week. Tiger Woods has announced he's moving his partnership to TaylorMade Golf after 27 years with Nike, so he's got a new home. Okay. Tiger getting another bag. Let's see what we got here. Scrub Zero. To me, this doesn't really change anything. It went exactly how I expected, based on those two teams. Yeah, it was funny to me how many people were hitting me asking me for bets yesterday, and I would say a good like 80% of the folks that were hitting me up were like telling me they're taking the 49ers, and I was like, wait, are you seeing something I don't? And I'm like, do you not know that that's Jordan you're betting against? Like, it was mad heads that were hitting me like, yo, man, what do you think? I'm like, Chiefs? Like, nah, man. You know, 49ers superior team, da-da-da-da. I'm like, bruh, are you, like, superior team is cool, but that superior team is not superior at the one position that matters. Like, nah, stop it. Scrub Zero. Knicks once again disappointing me tonight. Oh, okay, Knicks tape. I'm not watching the game because I'm up here in the little office thing, so I don't have any TV screens are not up here. But I will check NBA.com real quick. Let's see what we got. Oh, goddamn, they losing to Houston. Let's see. Let's see. Knicks tape. Is everybody playing? Okay, let's see. Is everyone playing? Okay. Yep, everyone's playing. I see Josh Hart. I see Brunson. I see DiVincenzo. I mean, Jericho Sims, Bogdanovich, and Burks are playing. Okay. Let's see. What do we got here? Yeah, man, it's Brunson, 2 for 10 so far. Let me pull up the screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at. So we got Knicks tape here, and Knicks tape is taking that L to the Houston Rockets. Ime Udoka holding it down. They've been playing really good defense, I'll say, over the last month or so in Houston. Ime's got them actually like playing defense as opposed to last year where they were just not playing defense at all. So this is them with effort. They had absolutely no effort last year, and now they're actually playing with effort. Let's see. So far, Dante DiVincenzo's leading scorer with 16 points. Oh, wait, where's Julius? Julius is not playing. Okay, so no Julius. We'll have a conversation about Jalen Brunson one day. I'm not ready to have it yet. I got into it a little bit on the live stream after the NBA trade deadline, but I'm a little tired of this narrative of Jalen Brunson and how good he is. But it's like, it's the same thing. Every time Thibodeau has a ball-dominant weapon, this is what it looks like. This is what it looked like when it was Jimmy Butler, whether in Minnesota or Chicago. This is what it looked like when it was Derrick Rose in Chicago. Like this is just this is what it was when it was Luol Deng in Chicago. Like this is just what it is. His offensive philosophy is literally just get one guy who's ball dominant and just keep giving him the ball. That's the offense. There's no creativity. So what Jalen Brunson has been able to do is be the next guy in line to be ball dominant and take all the shots. And because of it, he's now being boosted to this level of, oh my God, the Knicks have unearthed this. Like, no, he's just a ball. He looked like this in Dallas. Now, he couldn't do this for a prolonged stretch because there's a better player there in Luka Doncic. But the reason why it didn't work in Dallas ultimately is because Brunson was going nut. And Luka wants to go nut. That's not going to work. So they had to stagger their minutes. And this happened even into the playoffs, where Luka and Jalen Brunson's minutes were staggered, so they both were never on the floor together, or hardly ever on the floor together, because their skill set was so the same. Luka more dynamic because he can actually pass the ball and facilitate, but the main thing he's trying to do is score first, pass later, whereas Brunson is just score first, shoot later. Like it's the same. There's no pass. That's never really an option with Jalen Brunson. Okay. So I think it's a thing I'll get into as we get closer, as we get closer into actual playoff basketball and stuff like that. But the Knicks here are down going into the half, double digits to the Houston Rockets. Yikes. Let's see, is it hot shooting? Are they shooting abnormally well? No. The Rockets are shooting 45%. They're shooting 31% from three. Are they out rebounding them? 28 rebounds? Nope. Even on the glass? Is it turnovers? 10 turnovers to 3. Could be turnovers. That's a big margin. Rockets are +7. Foul trouble for Precious Achiuwa. No Julius. Interesting. Let's see. We'll hit script 0 one time on the chat. One team has Mr. 28-3 and the other has Mahomes. Big facts. Big facts. Okay. Knicks haven't won in Houston since Whoopi killed Phillip and the devil was a damn, that's a long time. If you know, you know. That's a long time ago, bro. Damn. Teddy Bear Randall still out with a dislocated shoulder. Copy that. Okay, bet. Let's see what else we have in the association. God damn, the Spurs are destroying the Raptors. 96-67. Poor Scotty Barnes. He's out there fighting by his lonesome. Let's see. Salute to those pulling up. Salute to those who are hitting the like button. I do appreciate that. Let's see here. Philly holding on against Cleveland. Cleveland's been one of the hottest teams in the league. The Pacers taking an L to the Hornets. That is interesting. Denver down big. Oh, that should be, damn, that's on Milwaukee and Denver is playing, and that's on NBA TV. That's a game that should be on a national broadcast somewhere. They could have saved that for TNT on a Tuesday or the four-letter network on a Wednesday. And let's see, Golden State tonight, they got an early start against the Utah Jazz. Okay, early start against the Utah Jazz. Everyone is slowly trying to find a way to say that the Warriors could be righting the ship. I think that's an asinine thing to suggest. I don't understand why people are thinking that, but there's starting to be some clamor for the Golden State Warriors and maybe starting to figure it out. I think people are idiots on that, but it's all good. It's all good. Let's see. Do we have time for a little bit more? Might have to wrap it there. Let me come off the screen real quick. Let me check something. I'll just grab 0-1. Denver has been up and down against the higher ranked teams this season. Yeah, I think they're going through the motions. I think there's a lot to be desired there if you are the Denver Nuggets. Like, they know the rest of the West is food, right? Like, they know, like, you can give me all the Clippers stuff, and I haven't talked a lot about the Clippers on the pod, but as much as the Nuggets are who they think they are, like, they're still a top 4 seed, right? Like, guys have been in and out of the lineup. Jokic at times hasn't looked to be fully invested or fully engaged, maybe is the right word. But when you're looking at the top seeds and I'll jump to the screen for a little bit. When you're looking at the fact that you're looking at OKC, who is a completely unproven commodity, right? Then you have the Clippers, which have a lot of dudes that at any point could go down for any type of injury and ruin that whole chemistry. Like, the one consistent thing with this whole season is the board man has not been load managing. The board man's been hooping. He's been hooping consistently. Now, whether that's him actually being healthy or whether that's them trying to make sure that they sell all them tickets out for that new arena that's about to open, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that the board man has been playing the most games out of all definitely the most games out of his entire time being a Clipper. Like, he's on pace. The last time I looked, he was on pace for like 70 plus games, which for the board man, that's an amazing number. He's already at 47 games. He played 52 all of last year. He's already at 47 games. Kawhi Leonard has not played 70 games since 2016. Okay? That's 8 years ago. He hasn't played 60 games since the first year in Toronto, or the only year in Toronto. He's already played 47 games. Now, how many games have they played overall? What's that, 51? He's missed 4 games. He's played 47 of 51 games. Now, if he keeps up that pace and he's going to play 70 games, 70 plus maybe even games, then yeah, the Clippers are going to be a top 4 seed in the West. But when you're looking at OKC, that's an unproven commodity, even though SGA is still killing. And then you have the Timberwolves, where it's like no one really believes them, right? They're kind of like when the Jazz were the number 1 seed a few years ago. Like, no one really believed them as a number 1 seed. Like, the Timberwolves are there, but it's like, when you start to break it down, the defense is top tier. But for a team that has Ant-Man Anthony Edwards, Mike Conley, Karl Anthony Towns, and even I'll throw in Rudy, they're 22nd in points per game. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But then when you look at that defense being number 1, then that leans to make you think, oh, okay, that's why. Then you look at defensive rating, they're number 1. But then you look at offensive rating, again, with Ant-Man, Karl Anthony Towns, and Mike Conley, they're middle of the road in offensive rating. So again, you don't really have a real reason to believe in the Timberwolves. So if you are the Denver Nuggets, you're chilling as the 4th seed. Because there's quantifiable reasons why the 3 teams ahead of you either won't be there in June or May, or you can beat them. Does anyone favor the Timberwolves, the Clippers, or the Thunder against Denver in a 7-game series? I would not. I think there's teams underneath the Nuggets that can give them more trouble than the teams that are above the Nuggets. Like right now, I think in a 7-game series, especially with the moves that they made at the trade deadline, I think Dallas could give them trouble. I think Phoenix, if they're right, can give them trouble. I even think the Pels could be a tough out. And then the Lakers are the Lakers. But in terms of OKC, that's literally never been there before, or the Clippers where everything has to be perfect for that thing to work, or the Timberwolves that just carry this stigma of we don't believe them. We don't believe you. You need more people. That's where we at with the Timberwolves. So to me, it's a lot going on, but I can't call it. I think Denver is chilling as they should because there's nothing to worry about out west. The East is where things are more interesting because, the Bucks go out there and go get Pat Bev. The Celtics made some tinkering moves. The Cavs have been playing abnormally hot. Knicks tape is feeling themselves. The Sixers are trying to figure out when the hell Embiid is coming back, if he actually is. You got the Pacers with Halliburton, so you give them a chance. And Miami is always this coulda, shoulda, woulda. But then we look up damn near every year and they're in the finals. So, the East is where things could get tricky. Scripps here, fully healthy. The Clippers can hang with Denver for a 7-game series, but one injury and that hope. Yeah, and that's kind of the problem with this whole Clipper thing. They finally figured it out when it came to Russie. Russie had to be off the bench so the Beard could cook. And then you have Kawhi and Pandemic P, Podcast P, and he's hooping. He's not load managing, right? Last time I checked, he was playing. I don't think he's played as many games as Kawhi, but close. Oh, he actually played one more game than Kawhi. He's played 48, so he's only missed 3 games. So with Boardman and Podcast P, they both combined have missed 7 games. And the Beard has only missed 5 games. And you got Rusty who's played in every game. So the injury thing has not happened to any of the key components of that roster. But with guys that are all 30 plus, you can't just assume that that's going to remain. And if you look at their numbers, as I said, I was going to do an NBA deep dive, but we seem to be doing that. It is what it is. They're top 10 in scoring and top 10 in opponents' points per game. So defense is good. Defense is top 10, and the scoring is top 10. Offensive rating is 3rd in the league. Defensive rating is 11th in the league. But here's something that's interesting, the pace. The pace here is towards the bottom of the league, half-court offense. So even though it's a half-court offense, they're still 3rd in offensive rating and top 10 in points, even though they have 5th from the bottom or 6th from the bottom in terms of pace. That means very efficient in the half-court offense. That means Ty Lue. Whereas with Minnesota, where's their pace? They're also towards the bottom. But they're middle of the road in terms of offensive rating. So the offense is a little stagnant. They go slow, half court, and it's stagnant. Let's see OKC. OKC is 4th in scoring, 4th in points, 13th in opponents' points. They are towards the top in pace. They're 11th, and they're 5th in offensive rating. So they get up and down. See, some things you could just look at the numbers and just kind of get a sense. It's not going to tell you the entire story, but it's going to give you enough hints of what the story actually is about. And then we'll go ahead and look at Denver, and then I think we'll go ahead and wrap up this stream. 6th in opponents' points, 18th in points per game. That is down from last year. I could definitely tell you that. Pace, next to last. So they're damn near the slowest pace in the league. yet the offensive rating is 10th. Top 10 in offensive rating, but next to last in pace, half-court offense, that's Jokic. And defensive rating, I mean, it's 13th out of 30. All right, so that's just a little sliver. I salute to everyone who was able to pull up. Late night stream. Want to get my Super Bowl recap. This will be for the audio. I'll make sure the audio is out for the audio only audience. But if you've been enjoying this on YouTube, if you've been enjoying this on LinkedIn, I do this once or twice a week, depending on my schedule. But I try to put content out, whether it's short form, long form, live streaming. Support the channel. There's links in the description. But the main thing is we're pushing to YouTube right now. We're trying to build the subscribers up, build the base up, build the community up. If you've been enjoying the content tonight, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to share it with other people that you feel would want to get down with the content and join the community and being part of it. So for the podcast audience, y'all know how I get down. You know what it is. I appreciate y'all as always. For the video side, love the community that we're building over here. Salute to everyone as always. For the CMD podcast, I'm Sam Dusamay Jr. Salute.